Good morning, my name is Morgan, and today I'm going to be talking about Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion was also called the law of inertia. It was first formulated by Sir Isaac Newton in the 17th century. The law explains how an object behaves when no external force acts upon it. So pretty much inertia is going to mean when an object is resisting change in its motion. So if an object is at rest, it will stay at rest. If it's moving with no external force acting upon it, it will keep on moving. And a force is a push or pull that causes motion or acceleration. Before Isaac Newton, Galileo had already introduced the idea of inertia, but Newton formally defined it in his book Principia of Mathematica. The law is still being used today in physics and also in engineering. Now that we understand what Newton's first law is, let's see how it connects to other scientific fields.
Hello, my name is Trace Anderson. This is a picture of me right here, and I'm going to be talking about Newton's first law of motion. So this is actually the first of 3 of Newton's laws of motion, and this first one is used as a basic foundation for all of his other laws of motion. So basically, an object that is moving is going to keep on moving no matter what, unless some kind of force acts on it, such as friction, gravity, or anything. So if no force acts on it, it's going to keep going forever. A few definitions related to Newton's laws of motion are friction, which is the resistance that one surface or object encounters when moving over another. And then another one is gravity, the force that attracts a body towards the center of the earth or towards any other physical body having mass. So now I have a few examples. A guy running, handstand. So basically something's going to keep on moving unless some type of force stops it. Gravity, friction.
Hello, my name is Alexis Guest, and today we're going to be talking about Newton's first law of motion, which is an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion unless acted on by an external force. Some basic facts are that Galileo inspired Newton's theory regarding inertia, and inertia increases with mass. Basic definitions: motion, an object moving from one place to another as time passes. Rest, when an object stays in one place and has no motion. Basic background: Newton's law was groundbreaking and changed how we think of objects in motion and at rest. Before Newton, people had thought that things only moved if something kept pushing them. They didn't realize they continuously moved until something slowed it down or stopped it.
In this slide, we are going to see how Newton's first law connects to other scientific fields. Newton's first law applies to many specific fields such as mechanical engineering, astronomy, and biomechanics. In mechanical engineering, the law is used to design machines and vehicles that reduce resistance and move efficiently. In astronomy, it explains how planets keep orbiting the sun due to inertia, unless acted upon by gravitational forces. In biomechanics, scientists study how athletes maintain balance and motion unless forces like friction or impact act on them. These fields rely on the first law to understand and improve motion, whether it's a car engine, a planet, or the human body. And the person who made all of this possible was one of the greatest scientists in history, Sir Isaac Newton. And in the next slide, we will be talking more about him.
So a related field that I chose was architecture. And you don't think of this immediately because, they're buildings, they're just standing still. But Newton's first law of motion is used pretty heavily in architecture because you don't want a building falling over. You want it to be stable, balanced. You don't want the wind to blow it over, hopefully. But not only buildings, structures, bridges, any type of something built is going to need to stay at rest and not tip over. So architects have to calculate weight, gravity, and use that to create their support forces such as foundations, beams, etc. So we have a few examples here: the Eiffel Tower, Taj Mahal.
Some related fields to Newton's law would be automotive engineering and also robotics. The principle of inertia is essential in robotics. It shaped how robots are built, programmed, and how they operate. In automotive engineering, an example would be seatbelts and airbags. They help exert forces that gently bring passengers to a stop.
And here we are, Sir Isaac Newton. Here's my picture of Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton was born in Worcester Park, hope I pronounced that right, England in 1642. He studied at the Trinity College, Cambridge, where he focused on math, physics, and astronomy. Newton's major research areas were the law of motion, universal gravitation, and optics. He even invented the reflected telescope. His most famous work is the Principia Mathematica. It laid the foundation for physics. Newton's also a member of the Parliament and later as a master of the Royal Mint. He is remembered as one of the most influential scientists of all time. Newton's first law of inertia remains essential to science and engineering today. Newton's discovery changed how we understand motion. And his law continues to influence modern science, technology, and everyday life.
So a relevant scientist to Newton's first law of motion is this guy named Robert Hooke. He was an English guy. He was born in Freshwater, England in July 1635, and he died in London, England, March 1703. So he lived, 68 years? He studied at the University of Oxford. He was somewhat of a rival with Newton, even though apparently they worked together on some topics. So this guy, Robert Hooke, he worked a lot with elasticity and forces, especially because what he's most famously known for is Hooke's law, which has to do with elasticity. And he not only did physics, he also contributed a lot to microscopy and astronomy. So he did a lot using a microscope. So, yeah. All right.
Relative scientists would be Galileo. Again, he initially came up with the idea of inertia, and so some facts about him is he was born in Pisa, Italy. He became blind later in life. This was suspected to him consistently looking at the sun through a telescope. Some educational facts: he originally studied medicine and later changed to mathematics and natural philosophy. His ideas about motion laid the groundwork for Newton's laws. Some of the research topics: he studied motion mechanics, used objects to study time and acceleration. He's famous for improving the telescope, and he also discovered 4 of Jupiter's moons. And that's it.